This is delightful. I'm so glad we came here. Feel those vibrations at Camp Video Games.
Attention campers. Here at Camp Video Games, we like to ensure everyone feels safe as they enjoy nature and video games in all of their glory. That's why I would like to make a public service announcement warning you against picking up tortoises as they cross the street, because if you're trying to save a tortoise from getting run over from a truck and you pick it up, it might pee on your foot. And if you're wearing sandals, you'll feel it. And it's warm. And I don't know if it's toxic to you, but I would like to make it clear that I might still have some trace amounts of tortoise pee on my foot right now.
Not to mention it attracts bears.
And
So
people with urine fetishes.
we're going to need to get moving before a bear attack ensues. Or we got to wash your foot. Either way, I'm Junior Camp Counselor Josh.
I'm Junior Camp Counselor Sean. And with us is Junior Camp Counselor Tortoise.
Hush, tortoise.
Yeah, slow down, buddy. We're talking about the Legend of Zelda animated series. This is episode 10, A Hitch in the Works. It's another Bob Forward joint, and well, let's just get right into it. Let's get into it.
Yes, let's do that. Well, I'm going to preface before we go through this that something I said during the commentary, that this feels like there's a certain genre of Simpsons episode from a certain era where like the first act would introduce things that happen and then they're gone and then they never really come back. And that was this episode for me. That was kind of its format.
The subplots don't align correctly.
No, it's very bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah. That they try to do like a A and B plot thing in this, where in a show that ostensibly only has two characters. It's not an ensemble cast of any sort.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to count Ganon as a character then?
Well,
Because,
I mean, Ganon's a main character in the way, like Mr. Burns is a main character. No, because Mr. Burns isn't always an antagonist in every episode.
right. This show
Not
I
really
think,
comparable.
has a triforce of characters.
Yeah.
Each one, they can act, they can direct, they can sing, they can dance. They're a triple threat. But Ganon's plot is always intertwined with Link and Zelda. So it's weird for a show like this, which usually seems to be pretty single-minded.
Yeah.
And how it's going to tell a story. In this one, they do some weird stuff where Link. We'll get into it.
It definitely. Well, yeah. Let's just get into it. But last thing I'll say on it as just a concept is like, oh, you start feeling like, oh, maybe there's a reason this didn't go for more than one season at this point.
Yeah. I can't imagine it like really drove that many sales of the game. I could be wrong, because I do remember also, and I would love to do a bit more of a focused conversation at some point just about the different like merchandise that came out around this animated series specifically, because there is stuff like the aforementioned lunchbox sitting up here. We've got a photo of it on Instagram at this point. But like, I remember there was a Nintendo cereal.
Oh yeah. It really. I have in my mind the memory of this show is distinctly intertwined with Nintendo cereal.
Yeah.
I'm really wanting Nintendo cereal all the time. My sister just brought it up a week ago. We were eating macaroons from a really fancy macaroon place.
Yeah.
And like she bit in one and goes, this tastes like Nintendo cereal.
Wow. Which I assume was that a corn-based cereal, like just something kind of looks like Captain Crunch.
It's like and they approximate quote unquote cereal in sort of like bougie ice creams and stuff now, and it's just like corn, sugar, and then like a little lavender to get the fruity flavor.
Okay.
And I think that's what we were eating, and that's my memory of Nintendo cereal. Like sometimes lavender will trigger a memory of like early childhood. Fuck, I want some Nintendo cereal, man.
I'm gonna bring you a bouquet of lavender next time I see you, my friend. That is a wonderful like experiential like memory where it's triggered by other senses. I don't recall if they had Zelda characters on it, but there was a Super Mario Brothers like Super Show specific line of sodas that were, I believe they were 8-ounce cans, and I don't remember the specifics, but there was like a green apple Yoshi flavor. There was Mario that was like a red flavor. There was a peach flavor, and they just had these bold cartoon like characters on the sides of the cans. And my mom was a teacher, a grade school teacher, when I was in grade school as well. She taught at the same school that I went to. And so I would have like after school hour like access to like the gymnasium and to like all the drama department storage room, like all the cool stuff that is like kept at a school. I'd get to like play with that after school. And I remember one of the best moments, I was exploring the countryside of Kyoto. And I was in my school's gymnasium, and in the storage room there was a case of the Super Mario soda.
I'm now imagining like you like Millhouse in the Lord of the Flies episode where they think he ate all the food. Just you like laid out with a bunch of empty cans around you of all the Mario soda with a big gut.
Oh jeez. I haven't thought about that in a while. That's a good. They tasted like cough syrup. They were horrible, but
and fun fact, the found a ad for it, and the Princess Toadstool one is cherry flavored.
Oh,
because she was Princess Toadstool until Mario 64.
That's so.
Yeah.
What about? Is that even in Mario 3? Was she Princess Toadstool?
I believe so.
Wow. Yeah. I guess because
and Super Mario World. Because Yoshi's on these. Yeah.
I played a lot more Super Mario 3 than World, just because I didn't get a Super Nintendo when it was like brand new. So I was like I was like a whiz at like Super Mario 3. Ooh, that's a movie we should watch. The Wizard.
Oh fuck, dude. Yeah.
That would be a fun one. That'd be a good one-off.
Yeah, that show was just an ad for Nintendo, but I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was the target demo. Anyway,
the Power Glove. It's so bad.
It is. It's pretty bad.
If these are the kinds of movies and things that like if we don't remember, like we'd love for you to write in and to like remind us of video game centric like film and TV like properties that are worth the kind of examination that we've done here with The Legend of Zelda. Like we're getting close to the end of the Legend of Zelda series, and we've got some ideas on how we're going to progress next season. But love to hear from you. Want to know what's interesting to you. Patreon subscriber reached out after signing up and strengthened Josh's case to talk about the Donkey Kong Country series from the mid 90s. So we love that.
I want to go off about Donkey Kong Country.
If you want to shout out and you've got a recommendation, just throw it my way, baby. I love shout outs and I love recommendations. Anyway,
Link's snooping around, huh?
Yeah, this episode starts there's like you hear ominous footsteps as we like zoom in to the castle, and then we see Link's shadow on the wall, and it looks like, to me, I thought first it looked like he was holding like schematics, like big rolled up blueprints or something. Seeing Link's shadow, there's already like associations you can make with the specifically Zelda 2 at this point, but also when Link battles his shadow self in the games.
Or if I can remember our 1.0 commentary of the episode, because we had trouble recording commentary for this one
3 times.
I believe it might have been me that suggested maybe he's in a bit of a repressive theocratic kingdom and has to sneak around in the night to pray, and that's his mat.
Wow. Jeez.
It's being religiously oppressed.
That's an interesting take.
I don't think it's anywhere near reasonable, but
maybe he just doesn't want Zelda to see him doing yoga in the courtyard. He's wearing like
it's another form of spiritual repression.
He's wearing like Spanx, like,
and in a way, I guess when we do find out what he is sneaking around, it's still he feels some sense of repression or oppression that he has to sneak this around, because we quickly find out. It's his fishing rod.
Yeah, he's got a fishing rod.
He's just trying to go fishing.
He's got it in like a canvas like wrap or something like that. But like, look, we got like the hero of our show is more akin to like Tom Sawyer than he is to like, Odysseus. You know what I mean? Or Huck
that's a good
Finn,
way of putting it.
he's a little rascal. And
Again, I'm trying to keep actual discussion of Tears of the Kingdom and any content around it light, but there was an experience I had in the game, sort of a 3-4 hour side questy thing.
Yeah.
That I was just like, this feels like an entire like Huck Finn story, like Mark Twain novels worth of adventure.
I'm so excited.
And that style of adventure, like just you're doing something in this small, you're having this adventure within this small community,
Yeah.
and getting into all kinds of mischief with it.
I think Wind Waker did a good job of capturing that feeling too. When you go to, you start off on I believe Outset Island, but then the like town hub that you sailed to, I don't remember what it is, if it's maybe a Kakariko equivalent, but like the little side quests you do with the kids that are trying to like see the bomb shop, it was a fun little rascal.
Yeah.
We love rascals. Okay, so yeah, Link, he's like trying to escape the castle courtyard undetected with his fishing pole in hand, and he gets like sternly stopped by Zelda. She's got her hands on her hips, doing the whole like, where do you think you're going kind of attitude. I got a quote from Zelda here. Quote, "Ganon hasn't attacked in weeks, and it's time you start earning your keep."
That's wild.
Yeah.
That is insane.
That's like okay. Grocery stores here in Cincinnati tend to have like a security officer at the front. Just we've got guys with guns that are making sure we're all paying for our groceries, basically. That's like if this Kroger has not encountered any robberies in the last 2 weeks.
Like you haven't beat down an 11-year-old in weeks.
We're going to need you to stock shelves now.
Yeah.
Like that's basically what Zelda's doing to Link right now. So,
it's real like dirtbag, shitty libertarian mindset. Like you need to earn your right to housing.
If you can lean, you can clean. If you've ever worked in a kitchen, you've heard that. If you can lean, you can clean. Or skim the soup.
Yeah, there's no like scale for like, well, maybe he doesn't need to work as many hours because stopping Ganon's a pretty darn difficult, important job that deserves rest when he's done.
Yeah, I agree completely. We've gone over the poor like monarchical decisions of Zelda and how she's not a very strong leader. It seems she's wrapped up in the minutia of the kingdom instead of the bigger picture. It seems. So then Link says, like, what do I need to do chores for? We've got a handyman, and his name is Doof.
Just the next 3 or 4 minutes of this episode, completely out of left field from anything we've seen in this show.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I just want to know, did they give him that nickname? Like, is his actual name like Terrence or something? And they're just like, hey, Doof.
Yeah.
Like,
well, because
can't do anything right, Doof.
Yeah. Well, he's got like buck teeth.
Yeah. Doof.
That's weird.
So right now they're just making mention of Doof. They're like, Link is just like complaining about having to do chores because we got a guy for that. His name's Doof. Like, but that's Doof work. It's Charlie work. But then we go to Link. He's on the top. He's on the top rung of a ladder, which most ladders I've ever climbed, they always say, "Do not stand
go up there."
above this." Yeah. So he's already doing it wrong, but he falls off a ladder while refilling like lamp oil. Some of the oil gets spilled off, and he tumbles. I took a screenshot. They like the animators are just like hot for Link, and that's been apparent since day one of this cartoon. But as he's falling, he's like spread eagle. He's like staring right down the camera, and like if
I'm just rewatching it for like the fifth time.
It's great. I even like sent that to you before we even like met up for this one because I'm just like, God damn it! Like these animators just they've got a Link fetish.
Yeah.
And that's cool. It's made this show timeless.
Yes. And then, well, who do we get next here?
Oh, we get that robot. If you're just listening, like the robot looks like he's got a barrel body, and he's put a bunch of junk that's been put together. It's kind of like, he seems like a steam powered robot, or like, just something like steampunky and kind of like shoddily put together.
Like worse than steampunky.
We hate this robot.
Oh, I don't know
Josh
why.
was getting fired up, and if you want to hear him like really express himself on how he feels about this robot in real time, subscribe to our Patreon. It's patreon.com/campvideogames, and there you can hear our commentary for every episode. Josh hates this robot.
I don't know why. Like, I think for me, okay, it feels like, okay, how well do you know the Goonies?
I've seen it probably a dozen times, but it's been probably a decade since I've seen it.
Okay. Are you familiar with like the lore of I forget the character's name, but cute little Kiwi Kwong's character when he's
The
like the one
lore
with
of
the
the
gadgets.
character? Yeah, I remember the kid. Is he called Microchip or something like that? Or
I forget what they call him. But the point is, when all the kids are like meeting back up with their parents and there's all these like little one-liners coming out.
Okay.
He goes, "The octopus was so scary."
What?
And if you're watching the theatrical release and you catch that, you go, "Wait, what? There was no octopus." That's what this robot feels like. This robot feels like it's not real. This is like not something that's happening. And
It's like it's so weird and out of place that it seems like a fever dream.
like it has this like Mandela effect. Like even though I'm staring at it on like my iPad for reference, it doesn't feel like it really exists. It's so out of place. But the thing with the octopus, is it was a deleted scene,
That's
and they
what I
just didn't
figured.
catch the line where he like fights it off by sticking a tape player in its mouth or something.
Okay, cool.
And then it sort of like dances away, is my memory.
Oh my god, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, and I've seen the deleted scene, so I'm not like Mandela affecting that.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. There's just something of that element about this robot being in this series. And Doof? Who's Doof? What is Doof? What happened to Sprite? Like it just feels like they were running out of steam, and like we got to expand this universe and try to get some new ideas going.
That's a fun way of putting it. Like, yeah, what happened to Sprite in this episode? He's not in this at all. Where this would seem like a kind of episode that would include Sprite, especially these like castle centric ones.
And like all you had to do was be like, oh, Sprite used her magic to use a bunch of junk to try to help with the chores by building a robot.
They already did that though with spring cleaning. Like that's literally what happens. Sprite uses magic to try to do chores, and it messes everything up.
Okay, so they just really don't have a deep well of ideas for what to do
I think
with
Bob-
this adventurer who is in between adventures, sort of.
I'm gonna give Bob Forward some credit here, because this is an adult who's trying to create content that is a prime demographic of children, between ages like 3 and 9, probably is like who's like who they're trying to get for this show. And adults don't really know how kids think or what they think is interesting. So the stuff that adults come up with to try to interest children can often be very weird, which is more just like indicative of like the sick, unsettled mind of some like creative adults.
Yeah, well, and in that sense, it's like, oh, here's new characters with bright colors and big shapes.
Yeah. Doof is definitely that. He's like a magic using Wilford Brimley elf who like I don't know, his voice, he's got kind of that like grandpa voice.
Yeah.
I can't replicate it right now, but it's a strange one. He's like a hapless, I guess he's an inventor, like, because he put this robot together, and the robot, what happens is the robot like goes and it walks into a wall and falls apart, and then it's just a pile of scrap metal and like junk. Doof is able to like use magic to like reassemble it. It's just like he like, from a practical animation standpoint, he just puts his hands over it, some red flashes happen around it, and then the robot's back together. Doof is supposed to help, the robot is supposed to help Doof do his chores, and once Link knows that,
He sucks ass at it. I can say that much.
the robot is making much more of a mess than it's cleaning one up. But Link upon hearing that this robot could potentially be doing his chores, he's all in on like, Doof, no, get this working. Like, let's workshop it. Like, let's keep it going.
Get your ass in gear, Doof.
Yeah, he's like, let's not lose momentum on this project. You know, I want this tier 1 priority.
But unfortunately, the robot sucks shit and just uses the mop as a pogo stick.
Yeah, he
somehow.
goes on a rampage. And like this, it seems like it's doing it like out of like a child brain naivete kind of thing. But like that's because okay, so as soon as Link is like, oh no, the robot's headed for the wine cellar, Doof is like, oh my god, we need to stop it.
Priority
now.
number 1, shut down everything, DEFCON 1 or whatever's the highest. I don't know.
Yeah. I got to drink myself to sleep after this. Like, this is not a dry night for
my
Doof.
Nightmares. I cannot face them.
God. I can't go home to Mrs. Doof without a little buzz on.
I'm stopping.
And so Link and Doof chase after the robot. And as they're like this is all happening like in the cellars, the dungeon area of the castle.
Yeah, just a cellar hall of just endless storages for I don't know different agents you can imbibe to alter your state of mind. I guess
magic potions, quote unquote. Keep that magic alive.
That's the absinthe cellar. That's the heroin cellar.
God, the medicine shelter. Keep Bluto away from that, my friends. That's more for the other side of the podcast.
Goron Bluto, addicted to painkillers.
But down in this cellar, from one of the floor tiles, Moblin, he's sneaking in. He's going full Solid Snake here. But before he's able to clear the tile from above his head, the robot bounces on it, and then I think Link and Doof also run on it, and that gives the intruding Moblin a big old bump on his head.
Big old goose egg.
Yeah, and I don't know how many times we hear Moblins talk. I know this isn't the first time, but it's always kind of like I take pause when the little pig boys got something to say. This one says, "This job always real headache," and I love caveman talk.
Yeah, and they
there's a couple of them. There's two with clubs and one with a butterfly.
That's what I was going to mention.
Yeah,
the suspicion of like you see club butterfly net. And then the next thing happens is the robot is Pogo's back to them, and this is a cute little like animation hack that happens.
Yeah.
There's a scene or a shot of the robot coming at the moblins, and it's like bouncing forward, and they just loop the moblin throwing its club in front, like fun. It's like a 3-frame animation that just loops, and it's just staring blindly while the robot hops.
That's good job, guys.
Hey man, any way to make the job easier, I'm all about a good shortcut that only a loser who like analyzes a 35-year-old one series cartoon show is gonna notice. You did great work.
You want to actually make that 2 losers.
I guess you have also gone through frame by frame to find how often they're horny for Link. So
I've said before, I treat this stuff like the Zapruder films. Like I'm just like, wait, okay, he went back and to the left. Okay, a moblin smashes the robot with a club. And
they don't even show it hitting. It just marches at it with that animation going, and then it cuts to the robot falling apart before they even impact.
And I got a quote from Doof here when he finds the smashed robot. He goes, "Hey, oh darn it, I just fixed that." It seemed that's a fun like it's like a Simpsons type of like just like oh man, it's like a Millhouse moment.
Yeah. Link starts doing some trapeze over the moblins.
Yeah. He's going like full John Woo, like, you know, hanging onto the chandelier with his legs. Like he might as well have like 2 guns, like fighting sunglasses on and doves flying around.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty tight. I'm down.
But he shoots the moblins or he zaps them as we like to say. And that butterfly net.
comes into play.
Yeah.
Turns out I'm the asshole for thinking it's useless.
Go
Because
on.
Link swings through the chandelier straight into the butterfly.
Man, he's that sucks, Link. Let's see. Doof, he repairs the robot with, I know his name again. Like, did Zelda like bully him into taking that nickname? Like, if you want to stay
Zelda
here,
would. Zelda absolutely would.
if you want to stay here and earn your keep, then you got to introduce yourself as Doof until you do your job better.
And you're going to sit there on all fours, and I'm going to use you as a stool.
And I'm gonna put my cigarette out in your mouth. Doof, whenever he does his magic, he goes alakazoo. And then the robot re-enters the fray. He kind of he grabs a moblin from the robot, grabs a moblin from behind. And I don't think he's like attacking. I think because like little cartoon hearts,
loves it.
like bloop, bloop, bloop,
He
bloop, like,
hugs it.
And yeah, does the robot just love? It's just like, do not hurt, only love. Robot
he's great.
loves. And the moblin, he's like, put me down. And Link says, oh, I'll put you down, all right. Down and out. And then he zaps that moblin straight in the throat. Which that's brutal, man.
And that's after he cut his way out of the butterfly net,
Oh,
which was
yes.
completely superfluous.
Yeah, and it looks like he's just cutting himself out of like a sack.
Yeah.
Like the net, they didn't even try. Like that's not how. I mean, I don't know. Whatever, man. I've never used a net. Actually, I know that's not true. I used a net to catch a chicken that I needed to apply some medicine to. And I used a net to catch a dog a couple weeks ago. Never mind. I use nets all the time. Okay, a moblin hits the robot in the knees with a boomerang, and then the robot like clangs into Link. So we've got like a extended moblin fight here, and things aren't going well because this robot is clumsy AF.
Yeah. Not good at his job.
Not good at its job, and like I guess its job is to do chores though. But if it was like I'm gonna make some accusations against Doof actually. If the robot in the middle of like this like crazy stuff happening, the robot is like its first instinct is to like give a hug. I think this was like maybe more of like a after hours robot for Doof.
I'm nodding along.
I don't know. The body is made of like a wooden barrel.
And then like when
You can
Link
hold a lot
saw-
of stuff in a barrel.
Like when Link saw the robot, Doof had to like come up with an excuse.
Oh,
I made that for chores. That's to help.
Oh my god. That poor robot.
It's just a massager.
It's not for me.
But at the same time, don't be ashamed of your toys, folks.
As
long as, they're not sentient or have feelings. Because this robot, since it was able to love a moblin, might have feelings.
Yeah, that's true. I heard when one of the like the most realistic sex dolls, are they called real dolls or like something like that? But like when like
I don't know. You tell me.
this is more of a public interest piece than it is like a sex pest piece. But when like the first like prototypes for this like super realistic sex doll came out, the company making them apparently got a lot of like they wanted refunds basically, and they sent these like dolls back, and they were just like torn to shreds, like knife wounds,
Oh my
like
God.
bite marks, and like all of like the violent stuff. And they're like, it's not good enough. It really troubling.
I don't like that story per se.
I'm sorry, campers.
Real world shit, man.
Yeah, and I have whenever I publish this show, I have to like specifically make it clear to the platforms that I'm loading it onto that this is not a podcast for kids.
This podcast about a TV series we just said is made for 3 to 9 year olds.
Yeah, but 3 to 9 year olds today are like by and large far less interested in this specific series than we are. But man, it got blue for a second, didn't it?
I'm having a good time.
I feel really bad right now. Okay, so the robot, after getting hit in the knees with a boomerang, gets it collides with Link and like falls into a big pile of scrap again. What the show does is very strange how it transitions, because the robot like hits Link. There's like a very brief fade to black, and then it's Zelda standing there saying like, Link, wake up, what are you doing? And it, like, when we were watching it, like, Josh, you were like, wait, was Zelda in the robot?
Yeah, I'm
Like,
still not sold.
It's a really weird cut, but I believe what they're implying is that like Link was knocked unconscious when the robot collided with him, and Zelda found him and thinks that he's just sleeping on the job. She's like accuses him of being lazy, but it was a very strange transition, and I don't know how many other people care about it as much as we do, as we're discussing it right now. But so yeah, Zelda accuses Link of sleeping on the job, and then Link over exaggerates on how many moblins happened. Like, you don't need to. Like,
Yeah, dude. Like, moblins were here. Moblins caused trouble.
yeah,
You were in trouble, and you had to deal with it. Instead of saying, what were there, 3 of them? He says like 60.
he says 50 or 60 moblins, where it's like, and you're alive. Like, you know, if it's more belief, whatever. This is an ongoing issue we have with Link as a main character.
Yeah, honesty would just make your life so much easier, dude.
Because then you don't have to remember all the lies.
Yeah.
So, okay. Link then confronts Doof for not backing him up, because Doof was there when all that happened, but Doof basically, he admits cowardice. He was like, Link was like, Doof, like, why didn't you back me up, bro? Like, you could have at least helped me when Zelda came and like accused me of snoozing on the job. But Doof was like, I was scared. Oh, great. Like, glad to work with you, Doof. But to make it up to him, Link is like, okay, so I know you're really bad at making robots. How about you make me some moblin robots to kidnap Princess Zelda so that I can save her, and then she'll get off my back about doing chores. Zelda overhears this. So we're getting set up here for a little mix and match confusion here.
Yeah, this is so bizarre and convoluted.
Yeah.
And it happens in the span of like 15 seconds, I
Yeah.
feel like.
Yeah, like Link is brought back to consciousness, and then he immediately starts scheming on how to trick Zelda into thinking he is a hero again. Okay. Then we finally cut to Ganon. Piggy Palace.
Hell yeah.
He's yelling at the Moblins for not capturing Zelda. He was like, I gave you the net. Like, what's the problem?
Wait, you need more than a net? Come on, man.
And then he reveals that he has like a mind control necklace that he is going to put on Zelda so that she will agree to marry him, so that Ganon can become the rightful heir to the throne of Hyrule. So he's trying to do it legitimately in some ways.
Yeah. I don't understand what his thought is for after the marriage happens. If everybody's going to be like, oh, cool, yeah, I guess they must be in love. This guy who was trying to murder all of us for so long.
It's like if Hillary
Clinton the whole time.
If Hillary Clinton married Vladimir Putin.
It's like, oh, now we get it.
Yeah. Although I think QAnon has already made it pretty obvious that actually did happen back in the 90s, and we've just been seeing a clone.
Oh yeah, they've been eating babies in a basement together.
Right, that's how they can hide their lizard faces. I'm sorry, everyone. We're getting hotter and hotter as we go along, aren't we?
But she does have a lizard face. Let's be real.
Pokemon Go to the polls.
I have that sound on the board, but it's not up.
That's all right. I do a perfect Hillary impression, so it's no big deal. So okay, now for Link and Zelda, things have gone back to normal to some degree. They're both plotting behind each other's backs and muttering under their breath whenever they have a chance, but they're just doing some chores. And yeah, his whole idea is that a fake Moblin kidnaps Zelda, he defeats it, and then he doesn't have to do chores. I kind of like doing chores.
I don't.
I like
I'm a Link about this.
I like washing dishes. I love cooking more, but I like washing dishes. I like the completion of the task. I like seeing a big pile of dirty get turned into a big pile of clean. I am not a fastidious person. I might have even been described as a slob in my life before, but certain chores just bring me some joy, and I try to like let that be a positive thing in the drudgery I call my life. But Zelda, she seems to like doing chores. Like she's always on these chore spends.
Which then leads me to like, why don't you do the chores then? This guy's job is to protect you from this giant pig man who's constantly attacking. Why are you making him do the chores?
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, like, they only have 13 episodes, and you would think that what gets repeated in this series would be like more like action-oriented stuff. But literally, this is the second episode where it's like, Link, do your chores.
I wonder if that's something to do with like the younger demographic, and like
absolutely.
that's the kind of conflict that like a like preteen can rationalize in their brain is like arguments over doing chores.
It's relatable. Yeah, because these writers are probably parents at this point, or like, you know, they're like, what are my kids like? My kids love not doing chores, so let's make it like, let's turn our fantasy action adventure like hero story and turn it into like what kids can relate to, you know, not doing chores.
Yeah, and there's like that creates this sort of like mommy dynamic, you know, for like Zelda to
Zelda, yeah. For sure. So Zelda, she's anticipating a moblin attack, or you know, she expects these robot moblins to kidnap her. And so she's like super ho-hum when a band of real moblins like just snatch her up.
And like you know, we've seen them have like failed attack after failed attack.
Yeah.
And the way this one succeeds is Link just by happenstance is standing in front of the door they break down when they break it down, and he's incapacitated.
Cool. I missed that.
And it's like, well, no fight here. We don't have time for another action sequence. Just incapacitate Link in the dumbest way possible.
So Link, he's at that point, he's like, wow, like I did not ask Doof to make them that real. And then the little like pathetic doll version of a moblin like comes out and falls apart, and we're like, oh, Doof.
Yeah. And Link's like, wait a minute, no, Doof is a dumbass.
Here, then what was
Yeah.
So Link, he does not waste time. He is doing speed running tactics to rescue Zelda. The moblins, they're carrying her off to their entrance to the underground, which is a tree entrance, which is great. Like that lines up with the show. It's nice to see these little, you know, it's like, let's not forget this is based on a fun video game.
And you're going in trees as dungeons in the very first game.
Holy moly. Did you ever read the Berenstain Bears and the Spooky Old Tree?
Speaking of Mandela effects.
Oh yeah, how's it spelled?
I fucking loved that book.
Yeah,
my mom hated it.
I found a copy of it recently and revisited that.
Yeah, because that tree was tight, dude. Wasn't there like a slide in it?
There was so much stuff.
God damn, I want to hang out on that tree.
Yeah, you know what? Let's do an episode where we just read that book together. I'll tuck you in. It's fine. We'll go camping. Man, it's a fun book. It was great too because it kind of lines up with like what happens to Link, where like you go off into the nature. It's dangerous, but you're being resourceful. I think that little what is it, brother bear and sister bear are their names. Mm-hmm. They've got rope. They've got a lantern. Man, they might as well bring a sword and shield with them.
Yeah, man. You're putting together the blocks of why I must have loved that book.
Yeah.
Because it would have been the same time as my first Zelda experiences. So when I was like just first learning to kind of read on my own.
Yeah. The tree has like a spooky face made out of like knotted branches and like
very much like the Dark World trees in the Link to the Past.
Oof, good pull.
Yeah.
I was thinking Deku tree.
A lot of things just all swimming around in my brain together in that soup.
Yeah. Miss being a kid. No, actually I don't at all. Sucks. I love being an adult.
Yeah. You can like smoke all the weed and have all the sex you want, right?
I love like it's the little things where it's like you know what, I am just gonna go to the arcade in the middle of the day, like the stuff where it's like, you know what, I am gonna record a podcast like, about the
you
Legend
can still
of
do
Zelda.
the dumb baby shit. We're doing it right now.
yeah but that's
you just gotta like prioritize around it.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm in a good spot right now.
Yeah.
Okay, but Link, so what he does, he's speed running. He's doing the wind bombing thing where he takes out a bomb. It's one of those cool spiky bombs. I love the design for the show. He throws it. He takes out his shield and he shield surfs onto the bomb's explosion, and that propels him at a high velocity. If he had a paraglider, that'd be a good time to use it to keep that momentum and not just crash land. But he's just like launching himself to the tree entrance to the underworld. He's just a few steps behind the moblins at this point, so he's like on the hunt. I don't know. He seems like fired up about this one later.
Well, because before he enters the tree, we get the shot of him at basically point blank murking a moblin.
Hell yes.
Where we see him point his sword straight down the barrel and zap it at ostensibly a moblin we saw turn toward him in the last cut. Like, it's so it's, I don't know, there's like a Tarantino-esque vibe to it. I'm thinking of like Inglourious Bastards, just this like brutal, unforgiving murder.
Yeah, or like Reservoir Dogs too.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Say hi to your mom for me in hell. That's what I would say before I kill someone, to make them be like, wait, you know my mom? Wait, she's not in hell. So the Moblins, they present Zelda to Ganon in his like piggy throne room. He straps that mind control necklace on her, and she agrees to marry him.
Obviously, who wouldn't? Look at that handsome face.
Yeah, no, Ganon, he's such a eligible bachelor. When will he settle down and find a wife? He's so fun at parties.
I want to do like a sketch that's the dating game with Ganon.
Man, that'd be fun. I want to make a pretty like faithful to the show recreation mask, like out of latex, and like make some like clay mold of it. That'd be a lot of fun.
Your maidens, your bachelorettes, you'd have Zelda, Pura.
Oh,
obviously.
sure. Yeah.
Well, not Pura.
Paya.
Well, okay, everybody's horny for Pura now in Tears of the Kingdom.
Weird.
That's a bit of I spoiled a little bit.
No,
I did mix her up with Paya. I meant to say Paya.
Yeah. That's weird though, but I'm just gonna let that wash right over me.
Who would our third be?
Zelda.
I already said Zelda. Zelda, Paya. It could be Pura.
Mifa.
Oh, dude, Mifa's too pure.
Riju.
I need to protect.
No,
Mifa
she's a child.
From Ganon.
What about Urbosa?
Urbosa is a very good candidate.
Yeah.
I think she would be like, she and Ganon would hit it off with this sort of dom sub thing.
I can see that. Well, because wait, Ganondorf is
Gerudo.
Gerudo, thank you. Yeah.
And she's just like dummy thick compared to his Gerudo form is a little more slender.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be like a hot dom sub thing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
He seems pretty like, I mean,
He'd be into it.
Yeah. I just like to watch.
I'm sorry, I'm letting this go off the rails
This
today.
is great, man.
We're talking about children too.
Yeah, but at least we're not children anymore. Now we get to rent cars and
fucking pay taxes and shit. It rocks.
Okay, so have you seen First Blood, the first Rambo movie?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
I
think I'm mixing it up with Predator.
Both are really
Predator
good movies.
rocks.
I love movies that are set out in the wilderness. That's why I like slasher movies so much.
Yeah.
First Blood has a segment where Rambo is like systematically hunting down cops in the woods.
Love it.
And there's a whole posse that's out like looking for him after he escaped police custody in some like dirtbag town where he just got pulled over for looking like a hippie basically. And so he's like on the rampage. He's a Vietnam vet, and there's a great segment where he's got all these booby traps, and he's like, it's almost like a Michael Myers film where it's like he like just like appears out of the darkness, and he's like, knife, kill, or like I don't think he kills any of them. He like just like seriously injures them so that they're out of the fight basically. But Link is going that way with these Stalfos that he like ambushes. He's he's like up in some Leviathan bones, like a gigantic monster's rib cage, and he's like crawling along the spine, and he like jumps down on like a platoon of Stalfos, and it's just like it's some cool like yeah dude, like he's angry. I feel like lightning should be flashing and he should be like drenched in blood, like primal scream.
Yeah, that is very much the energy of this scene, of this attack. And like, because we've seen these sort of action adventure cut back and forth scenes in past episodes. This one feels the most like that, like that man on a mission, like you said, Rambo,
Yeah.
John Wick.
Yeah,
Like,
I've never seen any of the John Wick movies.
that kind of thing. So I'm into it. And then we get this weird guy, the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, you
The Grim Reaper marrying
you
him.
hinted he might be a whiz robe.
If they were trying to keep it canonical,
Yeah.
that's all it could possibly be.
But it's weird though, because when you think the Grim Reaper, you think of a skeleton wearing a black cloak with a scythe. So we've got the black cloak and we've got the scythe, but it's not like a skull face. It's like I describe it as like looking like the Ghostbusters logo ghost.
He looks like the judge from Blood Meridian. Are you familiar?
No.
It's a Cormac McCarthy novel about God, I don't remember specifically, but like I don't remember the specifics of like what this gang was a corollary to in the real world, but basically they're in sort of unsettled or uncolonized Texas in the 1800s and just like murdering just indigenous people. And there's this guy who leads the colonizers, the judge, is this big looming, like pale albino, scary, hairless man.
Oh God!
Who's just like one of the most terrifying characters I've ever come across in literature. And this is exactly how they describe his face looking.
Okay, like a little pudgy and
just like a big, thick, pale, ghostly, hairless man.
creepy, man. I read The Road and I really enjoyed that. That was some powerful writing. I haven't read enough Cormac McCarthy though.
Mm-hmm. It's the same vibe, but yeah, historical fiction.
Cool.
Contrast here, he's got a big happy grin on his face as he's reading.
Super pleasant.
Ganon
Yeah.
and the vows of the woman he's stolen.
Yeah,
put
yeah.
under mind control.
Ganon and Zelda, they're getting married by the Grim Reaper. And it's the classic like wedding like cliche at this point where it's like, does anyone protest to this union? And there's an explosion in the background and you expect Link to come out with like a boombox over his head.
Yeah.
Like playing
Or,
some meaningful song to them.
And that's how The Graduate ends too, I believe. He's like pounding. He's like up in the rafters.
Oh,
pounding
yeah.
to interrupt a wedding.
Oh, and Night at the Roxbury. Movie holds up. Gotta say that I've really enjoyed catching up on some of the old like SNL alumni like feature films from the mid to late 90s. The first two Austin Powers still hold up really well.
Nice.
Rewatched those recently. If he came back for a fourth film, I believe people would show up to the theaters for that. I think that would be like a cinematic event that
I would
people
absolutely
actually
go see a fourth Austin
Yeah.
Powers movie.
I realized while watching it, so that takes place in 1997, I believe, and he goes back to the swinging 60s, which was 30 years prior. We are now 30 years past the original Austin Powers, almost. Or I think we're 26 right now.
Yeah.
But the same amount of time has passed from now to the Austin Powers movies as they had passed from the Austin Powers movies to the 60s. Isn't that interesting, campers?
So they should take a frozen like MI6 agent of, I don't know, like Desert Storm or something and unthaw them.
Oh yeah,
his grumbles would it'd be entirely about how woke everything is.
oh sure.
That'd be all of his complaints.
Instead of he'd just be like, if only you understood what we were really about there at Woodstock '99.
I was just back in Woodstock '99. We would break stuff.
Break your fucking face tonight.
Now they'll break your career if you call one guy out so and so.
Oh man, we're just giving good ideas away, aren't we?
Anyway, so Link interrupts the wedding.
Yeah. Yeah, Zelda, she's like she's been like hypnotized by this necklace. So she's like, yes, I want to marry Ganon. He is my true love. And so to fight Link, Ganon summons a Gleeok from the evil jar, 3-headed dragon, super cool looking. And Link zaps it. But then the 3 heads.
It seems like it's pretty anticlimactic whenever he goes like really one-on-one with something. It's just like, oh, it looks intimidating, and he zaps it.
Blink. Yeah. The 3 heads attack after the body's been zapped. And like Link, he like leads them over to Ganon and Zelda. And the heads hit Ganon as Link jumps out of the way with Zelda. Link and Zelda escape. And like there's a big like explosion, or like there's a big pink dust cloud as like they're escaping from the underworld entrance in the tree, Link and Zelda. And this is a part that kind of like, if we're gonna go from the logic of how the mind control necklace is supposed to work,
yeah,
right? Like Zelda's like she leaves the underworld, and maybe it only works in the underworld too, so just to give some credit to how this might work. But like she's like, what's up with this necklace I'm wearing? And then she takes it off.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what? How does it work? Does it matter? It doesn't.
No, it doesn't matter, but it is, I don't know, I guess they have to resolve it somehow.
Yeah.
But
it could be Link going, let's take this off.
It could have been Link just like ripping it off the second they come out.
Yeah.
And then her be like, what? You know, but.
Hey, I could pawn
whatever.
this. Let's see. You know what? I don't even know why I had to look at my notes for this, because I was like, what happens next? Link proposes a smooch.
Of course. What always happens when they make it to safety?
Yeah, as soon as they're on stable ground, Link is looking for that smooch, but Zelda declines. But she gets scared because she sees a moblin is attacking them, and she uncharacteristically jumps into Link's arms, which is not her MO when like a challenge approaches. She's usually like, where's my boomerang? Where's my bow? Let's get to action.
It's an excellent point. That is not, just doesn't really work.
It's out of character for her to go, oh no, a moblin saved me, Link.
A singular moblin.
Yeah, they've
she's
killed
faced dozens at a time.
Yeah. If you played Hyrule Warriors, they killed tens of thousands of monsters. It's not a real moblin though, y'all. It's Doof's robot. He made it. He did it.
Nah, really?
Yeah, we came full circle. Doof, you did it, buddy. But then it falls apart, and Doof says, I just can't seem to get it to work right. Link, he says, I think it worked just right. As he's like, he's still holding Zelda at this point. His hands just keep moving up a little bit, and up a little bit. And then this next segment with Ganon is absolutely divine. Ganon, he's in the jar with all the other baddies.
Yeah.
He says, another time! Another time! It's so weird.
Such a weird phrasing, but it's like we finally got that until next week thing that we keep saying, like, that the show needs.
It needs that
final scene.
Yeah, it needs that hard reset where it's like there's going to be another adventure real soon. As soon as Ganon gets out of the jar.
It's the another time is very funny. I don't know that like there's something very meme worthy of the another time line joke.
I could see someone like, if a date like you think it went well, but then they don't want to like come in for coffee. Yeah, and then you say another time. Man.
That's a weird episode, huh?
Yeah, the show gets weirder as we go along.
Yeah, this is the furthest I think I've watched. I don't think I've watched ahead at this point.
I have not either. The next one is, I believe, Fairies in the Spring, which I think I did watch that one. So I know I have not watched the finale, which I'm really excited to do that with you specifically. So we get to have a little catharsis here.
The Fairies in the Spring. I guess I'll wait. It's like a reference to the song. Ba-da-ba-da-ba. In the stream, rivers in the stream. What is that?
I do not know.
Never mind.
I'll
figure this out before we talk about the episode.
I'm a junior camp counselor. The only songs I know are Kumbaya and the bear went over the mountain. That's it. And 99 bottles of root beer on the wall.
I apparently don't know much more based on that example.
Yeah, I agree. Campers, that's it for us today. Join us next week as we discuss The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. We're getting near the end of our discussion on that game, and dang it, it's just the best game I've played in quite a while until I play Tears of the Kingdom. So if you're interested in keeping up with everything we do here at Camp Video Games, you know what to do. You give us a follow over on Instagram at Camp Video Games. You can keep up with us through all your favorite podcast providers and on YouTube. We've also got video components to these episodes. Sometimes it's worth a view. We put a lot of work into it, and we love the reception so far. And we hope we can just keep doing this kind of thing for you, because Camp Video Games depends on campers.
It depends on us finding time in our schedule to do it.
Yes. And also, any and all Patreon subscriptions are we're grateful for that.
Yeah.
And
no, but in all seriousness, we use mostly equipment that I just already have because I do this for a living. But also, like, it costs money just to have this out in the world.
yes, it does. And yeah, anything that you could contribute through patreon.com/campvideogames. Pretty easy to find us anywhere you look, because amazingly, no one has taken this title before. I did it. Man, that was a weird drawn out exit, but we're there, campers. Thanks for joining us.
Bally ho, lally ho. Till next time. I'm tired. I'm on one today.
If you'd like to write to us, send a message to campvideogames@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at campvideogames. If you want to become a real happy camper, you can support Camp Video Games on Patreon. For $5 a month, you'll be granted access to even more discussions about movie-based video games, game-based movies, full-length commentaries, playthroughs, and more. Whether you sign up or not, we're glad to have you here at Camp Video Games.